Hi everyone. In this session, we'll explore the service and environment monitoring capabilities of HCL Volt MX. Here's what we'll cover. We'll start with service monitoring, which provides real time insights into service performance. We'll have a detailed look at the service monitoring dashboard, what it captures, and how to use it. Then we'll cover how to set thresholds to identify services with degraded performance. And finally, we'll explore environment monitoring that focuses on CPU, memory, and thread usage across environments. So let's get started.
So, service monitoring is basically a capability of seeing the usage of the services at runtime, right? And this is real time as well. So, this is not from the metrics capabilities. This is, though the data is quite similar, this is intended to serve as a monitoring tool. So, basically, to view anomalies and trigger alerts and bring attention of the developer or admin immediately. Um, the metrics and reporting that we saw earlier were for looking at data after it has been done, like you're looking at it end of the month or end of the week, or creating a report that you want to run periodically from code and send the data. That is the kind of thing, metrics that we saw earlier. The monitoring is run from the admin console, and this is specifically intended to be real time. So you can look at some data that we want, from the service monitoring, which we'll look at first, that we want to bring attention to, like the number of calls, performance, errors, and stuff like that. And there are different colors that you see here. So this is the service name, the object or operation within that service that was invoked, the verb and stuff like that. What was the type of service? If this was a child service, the parent service will be called out, number of calls. If there are errors and stuff, it will call out percentage of errors, and it will give a different color for, green means everything is good, red means something is really bad, yellow or amber is basically trying to say, hey, warning, maybe you have to pay attention, it has not gone to critical yet. So when this one, you can see that the service response is way too slow, so that is why it has flagged it out, and it was running into errors. This one is probably a threshold has been set and it has gone beyond that, so it has tried to color it different so that the admin that is looking at this gets to know about it immediately, and the data as is can be exported as a CSV. You can set warning and critical alerts as different. So for example, I might want to warn for a 2% threshold of errors, or a server response time of 2 seconds, which is 2000 milliseconds. But if it goes more than 5% or more than 3 milliseconds, I want to treat it as critical. And I can do this as as a whole, that is common global values across all the services. But I know a particular service, especially in login service, which is combining 3 services, is expected to be slower than others. So I'm going to give it a different threshold. So for that warning service, I'm going to say, hey, if it is more than 5 seconds, only then treat it as warning, because I do expect it to take 3 seconds by default, because it is going to hit multiple services. And if it goes beyond 8, I can treat it as different. So basically, you can create a global value for the threshold, but override it for individual where it is required. And you can choose how and who gets notified and at what interval it is looked at for this, right? So basically, I can say, look at all these services every 5 minutes or 10 minutes up to a maximum of 60 minutes. And if something goes into critical or warning, who all do I warn? Do I warn all the account owners, all the admins, or people with full access, or only create a custom list? So I can create a custom list or just click a checkbox in these cases, and I can create different users to be sent for warning versus critical. So I might want to notify the developer or admin if it is a warning, but if it is critical, I probably want to notify all the account owners, because it is by definition critical. And when that is reached, it will automatically generate emails and send it something like this, something similar to what we showed in the snapshot earlier, but this is the kind of email it would send to the person, to the persons that were listed to be notified, with the details of what service and what is getting into that particular state. Now let's try to look at a quick demo of this. Is not going to be in the reports section. This is something that is going to be in the runtime. So you go and click the app services, and there is a monitoring section here at the top. So by default, it is trying to look at the last 15 minutes, include all the errors. You can, if multiple nodes are there, you can choose which node also. By default, it is all nodes. And I can try to instead look at it for the last week, so to speak, and it tries to get the data for all of them. It tries to show the services. I can, if they're for a particular service, I can just highlight it and it will show, what is the internal duration, what is the external duration, and all the different things. For example, here it is, 1000 milliseconds in external versus 18 seconds in milliseconds. So you can see the uh, performance right by hovering over it. You can set thresholds from each of this, as I showed you earlier. You can set individual thresholds as well. And you can export this whole data as CSV too if you want. So this is showing monitoring at a service. You can also do the same for server events, but if there are server events, it will show up here. So in addition to services, we also have something called as environment monitoring. So environment monitoring is going to look at resources like your CPU usage, memory usage, thread usage, and it is going to say how much memory is available, how much is used, how much heaped, how much non-heaped, and give you data around that. And you can also, choose the time range and stuff for the reports, like just we saw with the services monitoring, and run it at a node level, so to speak. So this capability of environment monitoring is only available for on-premise installations. In cloud, we run our own monitoring tools. So in order to not step on each other's toes, this is not enabled on cloud.
Let's recap what we covered. We explored service monitoring and the real time data captured by the service monitoring dashboard to track service performance. We discussed how to use thresholds to identify degraded service performance by focusing on metrics like response time, error count, and error percentage, and how to enable automated email alerts when these thresholds are exceeded within a time window set by the admin. Finally, we reviewed what's included in environment monitoring and where to access these features in Volt Foundry. Thank you for watching. We hope this session was useful. Don't forget to check the description box for more details.